Hey friends and neighbors, it's Clayton. I just came back from seeing The Secret Life of Pets. And I have to say, if you're a pet owner or a parent with some kids, it's an absolute must-see. They will absolutely eat this up. Illumination Entertainment has done it again, and even though this film isn't as good as some other animated films this year, like Zootopia, Finding Dory, or even Kung Fu Panda 3, it still has a charm that'll seem very familiar to animation fans. But anyways, let's get to the story. The story is about a Jack Russell Terrier dog named Max, played by Louis C.K., who lives with his owner Katie, played by Ellie Kepner, in the city of New York. Unfortunately for Max, Katie gets another dog named Duke, played by Eric Stone Street, and the two do not get along. And through some usual slapstick comedy sequences and, general two guys not trusting each other kind of deals, both Max and Duke end up lost in New York, and it's up to a bunch of Max's friends, led by a lovesick dog named Gidget, played by Jenny Slate, to find him, whereas Max and Duke have to find their way out of the city while being chased by a little white rabbit named Snowball, played by Kevin Hart. To explain any more of the story would give away spoilers, but this story will seem very familiar to anyone who's seen Toy Stories 1 and 2. I mean, think of it. We have two people who don't get along, who get lost in a city. They have to find their way back to a very kind and loving owner, and there's a bunch of their friends who go out on a search party to find them. And there's also a villain who absolutely hates human beings, who wants the main characters to join them in their crusade against humanity. It's like the plot points of this film were basically just Toy Stories 1 and 2, but with animals instead of toys. Even though it does make the film fairly unoriginal, it does allow for a lot of what Illumination does best, and that's funny slapstick comedy. Illumination seems right at home when they're making just 90 minutes of laugh-out-loud hilarious animation. When that's the case, the jokes themselves may not be particularly humorous at first, but they move at such a fast pace that you're on to the next joke before you have to think about it too hard. For example, even though there's some juvenile humor in this film, as well as there was some in the Minions movie, the movie moves so fast that sometimes you get to another joke that's pretty funny, so you don't even have time to think about the ones that aren't funny. But the fast pace is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it makes the movie exciting, and it does keep the jokes coming at a good pace, but right when you start getting into it, some of the emotional moments go by a bit too fast, and they don't hit you as hard as they should. And since the film is as short as it is, it doesn't feel like it lived up to its potential as an idea. Because the idea of pets doing some crazy things while the owners are away is a good idea, but other than a quick 3-minute sequence at the beginning, which basically shows all the scenes that you've seen in the trailers for the movie, it doesn't really do anything original beyond that. But however, what keeps the film fairly enjoyable is the fact that the animation is so gorgeous to look at and is so fast-paced to move along with the story, and the fact that the characters are pretty likable. Even though characters like Max and Duke might seem like just Woody and Buzz ripoffs, there's an inherent likability due to Louis C.K. and Eric Stone Street's performances. You can say the same thing for Gidget, played by Jenny Slate, who's an incredibly humorous character, and others like Lake Bell as an obese cat named Chloe, and especially Kevin Hart as Snowball. I loved Kevin Hart's humor in almost every movie he's in, really, Central Intelligence included, and he does his usual shtick of screaming at the top of his lungs, alternating from joke to joke, and just being an all-around humorous guy. I mean, the guy is comedic gold. And speaking of which, Dana Carvey even shows up in this movie as an old paralyzed dog named Pops, and I thought Dana Carvey's career was over after he starred in Master of Disguise. I thought his film career was done after being involved in a bomb that only got 1% on Rotten Tomatoes, but He shows up here, he's funny, and surprisingly, maybe he has some hope for him before he dies. Which is more than I can say for most of the actors in Happy Madison movies. Also, one thing that I saw about this movie that I really liked was the amount of pop songs in it. I know you might call me a sellout, but the pop songs in these movies really do fit these scenes, and they really do make you feel pretty bouncy and energetic. Like when the opening of the movie goes through, when the opening plays and the song "Welcome to New York" plays through it, it really gets you interested in the movie. Or when a really unexpected musical number shows up halfway through, which I will not spoil because it'll be unexpected for everyone. Now, it's true that Illumination Entertainment loves to push the Minions, because honestly, the Minions are everywhere in this movie. There's some quick cameos from the Minions, and there's even a little short film that plays before the movie where the Minions are mowing lawns. It's a fun little short film, but it does make me think that Illumination needs to move past their Despicable Me franchise and move on to other franchises if they're going to compete with Disney and DreamWorks. Luckily, I don't see how this is going to become a franchise, as it's a pretty self-contained story, but as a standalone story, it does its job fairly well. So, it's an absolute must-watch for kids and adults who are pet lovers, but I'm sure animation fans will love it as well. So I give The Secret Life of Pets a 7.5 out of 10. See you next week for what is sure to be my most controversial review yet, Ghostbusters.